right, rattle and roll. I'm picking up vibration.
This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show.
Well, you are here with Matt and Dave on Bumper to Bumper Radio, and we are helping you with your car. At Bumper to Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better car experience. If you got car questions, we've got car answers, so we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text your questions to 411-923. And today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, we're going to have a car tip of the week, open phones and texts, of course, and good vibrations. And this is a...
Can you sing that, Dave?
No, I can't. But we had a lady, she had her car towed in about 2 weeks ago, and came in on a tow truck. We never drove it. It wouldn't drive. It wouldn't get out of its own way. So we fixed the transmission. It was all done, and the transmission worked great, man. I road tested this car, and I hit the brakes, and, man, I just shook my teeth out. And, I mean... So she shows up for a car. I say, man, your transmission works great, but did you feel that vibration? What vibration? She had no clue. And that's the thing. I get in these people's cars, and they just live with this stuff that's tearing their car up, and they're totally ignoring it. And she's like, oh, is that a problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think people just sometimes they don't want to know, or wishful thinking it's going to get better. What's happening? But, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, Dave, and you're right. You take a nice car that starts shaking and rattling or having these problems. Next thing you know, the dashboard's coming loose, the sun visor's hanging down because it's just getting beat to death. And there's all kinds of different scenarios that there's going to be vibrations, and some of them are the same systems, like a drive line or something like that is going to be one symptom. You can have braking. And each is a little bit different, and all different kinds of symptoms, and each can lead to a different kind of problem, too.
We always talk on this show about how these problems get worse over time, like your shoes wear out over time. You don't know it until you get a new pair of shoes, and you go, wow, that's nice. Or a mattress, 10 years old, it's not like it was 10 years ago when you bought it. It's a good idea to have somebody else driving your car once in a while, and or have someone just get in your car, and they're like, what's that noise? What noise? What are you talking about? I just turned the radio up. And vibrations are a problem, and people live with them, but I've seen it get I've seen dramatic problems from ignoring vibrations. So we don't want to ignore them because they can ruin your car.
So let's talk about, what different scenarios? So maybe the first one is the road speed. What kind of things are we going to feel at speed, cruising down the road? I don't care if it's 70 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour. What are we going to feel? What are the different kinds of things that we will notice at that speed?
Yeah, so that's when someone comes to me and says, I got a vibration, I want to know what speed does the vibration happen, and does it get worse with road speed and better as you slow down? Is it consistent with the speed? So its frequency, does it speed up? So that's the road speed vibration. But you're saying what speed does it happen? So if it's a vibration that happens at, say, 55 miles an hour, and it's there at 55, it's there at 56, it's there at 57, but it's gone at 58 miles per hour, well, to us, the first thing that comes to our mind is tire vibration. Mm-hmm. That's a real common one. It's just there for a little window of 3 miles per hour. That's a high-speed tire vibration, which is different than a low-speed tire vibration, which is going to feel more like a wobble.
Yeah, you're going to feel that one like 7 miles an hour, maybe just as you're taking off. And a lot of times you don't feel that it's amazing. You can have this tire that's giving this horrible wobble, it's just horrible. And then all of a sudden you speed up, and I can't believe it's not just shaking the car to death, but it doesn't for some reason. Two different things. One's major. You've got a tire that's going to blow out. The other one's just a simple maintenance item a lot of times.
Well, you can't ignore that wobble at slow speeds like that. That one is like, get to the tire store right now because your tread is about to be laying all over the freeway.
Right. And then sometimes at the counter, it sounds like we're really interrogating you, but we really are. We need good information.
We are.
I mean, we're not waterboarding or anything, but we need to know. We need to know. And so you might have that vibration, and they say, yeah, it happens at 55 miles an hour. And if a guy doesn't ask more questions, somebody might just balance the tires and send the car out. But it's quite a different, we're going to take a much different approach to it if you say it happens at 55 miles an hour and then we start to ask more questions. Where are you going? How do you drive? Oh, well, I notice it every time I go to pass somebody. So now we've changed the scenario. Now you're at 55 miles an hour and you're on a light acceleration. Maybe you want to speed up to go around somebody, get up to 60 or so, 65, and slow back down. And it's there when you accelerate, but it goes away as you decelerate and get back to cruise. Now we're not even looking at tires.
That's a different program altogether. It's the little differences there in that conversation, and that's going to be more like a half shaft or an axle, an axle shaft on a front wheel drive car that we're feeling. It could be a rear wheel drive car with
drive shaft
with half shafts in it too, and also driveline vibration.
Even an all-wheel drive car, they've got a lot more components, and those get loaded differently. Completely different conversation, and the consequences of ignoring that can be totally different. Dave, what's the Dodge truck where the thing starts to vibrate, gets a little U-joint, next thing you know, the transfer case is in $1,000.
Oh, yeah, that's a very expensive. We've totaled a couple cars where they came in on a tow truck, and the front drive shaft, the U-joint came apart, and the guy just went to Discount Tire the day before to get his tires balanced because he was trying to fix the vibration, but he had a more serious problem going on, and it was like a $10,000 repair, and they just said...
And that's not a dig at Discount Tire.
No, not at all. They did what they were supposed to do, but in his mind, he thought, it's got to be tires. And this is one where people confuse. They confuse wheel alignment with tire balance, and those are two totally different things for two totally different symptoms. And so if you've got a shake, that's a different ball game versus if you've got a car that wants to pull you into the curb.
All the time people come into my shop, Virginia Auto Service, they say, I need an alignment. And again, we're going to start this question process and gathering information. That's what we need. And that is one of the most often things confused. People want an alignment to fix a vibration. And 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. That's not going to take care of it. The other...
well, on the other end of things, we've been talking about going fast in vibrations, but slowing down vibrations, and this was specifically the problem the lady had in her car. When I'm slowing down, coming up to a stoplight, the steering wheel's kind of jiggling and the car's shaking. That's a brake pulsation. So it's whenever you're on the brakes. Typically, brake pulsations will be worse when you're going at a faster speed and you first get on the brakes. That's where you're going to feel them the most in a lot of cases.
So I always tell people, picture the old record player turntable. The needle bounce, the record's slightly warped, and the needle's moving up and down. You spin that thing faster, that needle's going to bounce off. And you're mostly going to notice that. The best example for me is people around town. They're going down I-10 or the 51. They're going to make their exit, so they're going from 55 miles an hour, light application of the brakes to get in that exit lane, and all of a sudden it starts shaking. It warped rotors, sometimes a transfer of pad material from the brake pad onto the rotor, a hard spot or a high spot, and that's...
what you're saying is you've got discs that would be like that record player.
Yeah.
So they're not true, and every time they come around and they hit that needle or the brake pad...
where it clamps down.
That's where you're going to get the little wobble, and so the faster you're going, you can see that thing just going real quick, in a sense. So that's the other end of the spectrum. So those are going to be the road speed vibrations, the things we feel when we're driving down the road. On the other end of the spectrum are engine speed vibrations, and sometimes it's a little hard to tell the difference.
What do you mean the vibration in relationship to the speed of the engine? The speed of the engine affects the vibration.
Correct. And if your car's got a tachometer, that's the thing that goes from like 1 to 6, maybe 7, maybe 9 if you got a performance car or a rotary engine. Mm-hmm. But that's your engine speed. And so some vibrations are consistent or they change with that speed of the engine. So if your car was at in park, you're at a stoplight and you just sat there and revved it up and down and you saw the frequency of that vibration change, that takes away all those other things. We're not worried about tires. We're not worried about drive shafts. We're not worried about axles. We're not worried about brake pulsations. We know that it's something that is spinning when the engine is on. So that's going to be things like, we talked about mounts in prior shows. Engines vibrate. That's what they do. That's why mounts are made of rubber, to absorb that. And if a mount is bad, you're going to feel that vibration transfer into the car, which is into your seat. You're going to feel it there.
And, of course, like you say, all engines vibrate. So some engines have counterbalance shafts that are spun with the timing belt or the timing chain, and that helps get a lot of those out. But then every car also has a weighted harmonic balancer, and that's basically the pulley where the belt connects on the front of the engine. That is a big chunk of steel, and it's balanced. but that's also pressed on in many cases over a rubber sleeve, and those will rotate off of their original mounting position, and then that's when you get that harmonic. It's just a harmonic vibration, like you're saying, Dave. You maybe rev through that, or you accelerate the engine up to 2,500 RPMs, and just hold that steady, and that whole engine might be shaking. That's where we're looking at a harmonic balancer or
some of the things, a fan clutch.
Yes.
You know, on a rear-wheel drive car, there's a fan blade and a fan clutch, and fan clutches will go bad, and that'll get it out of balance. Also, fan blades. I've seen fan blades where you got a chunk of the blade missing, and so that thing. I think of my ceiling fan at home with 5 blades on it. If I took one blade off, it would shake like a son of a gun. But the same thing can happen to your car. There's a fan blade at the front of the thing that pulls air across the radiator. So those would be engine speed vibrations. What are some of the other things that I'm thinking there is some that would happen at speed, so going 45 miles an hour. But if you got an engine with a little bit of misfire to it, when you are cruising, going 45 miles an hour, and you just accelerate a little bit and load up the engine, sometimes you'll feel a stutter there where the engine is misfiring. So if it's a V8, one of the cylinders is not cooperating, maybe 2 or 3 of them aren't cooperating, and so they're not firing at full power, and therefore you're going to feel it not be smooth.
One other one real quick, too, is we talked about the brake pulsation under braking. That can also happen with the rear brakes. Typically, you're going to feel the front in the steering wheel. You might feel something going on in the back, feel it in your butt. You're going to feel it in the seat. But we've been bit a couple times, and it's always sometimes a slow process, but you get a brake drum that can be out of balance, and you're fighting all these vibrations. You're balancing the tire so you're blue in the face, and all of a sudden you're like,
That's just a cheap brake job gone wrong.
Yeah, we need to throw that drum on up on the balancer and see if that's out of whack.
So when we come back, we've got open lines at 602-277-5827. You can call in regard to anything with your car. It doesn't have to be vibration related. Maybe you want to talk about turtle wax, or you want to talk about white wall tire, something like that. Give us a call, 602-277-5827. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR Car Guides on Bumper to Bumper Radio. Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate Batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate Batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys, heard here every Saturday from 11 to noon. To get a hold of this show, 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923. And the topic today was vibrations. Maybe you got a vibration going on. There's a vibration about every vehicle. We're trying to simplify what we do every day to break it down and make it simple, but vibrations can be hard to fix sometimes, especially when you got a vehicle that's got 500,000 miles on it, and it's had about 50 different technicians work on it, and everyone maybe left a nut or two loose. So everything rattles. I don't think I could actually fix this vibration. That happens. So there's some that are a big deal, and some that, sometimes you got a rattle in your dash. To fix that rattle, you're just going to have to see a therapist, and he's going to help you through that.
That's one thing that drives me nuts.
Rattles in the dash?
Nutser. I'm already nuts.
Once in a while he pulls up and he's banging himself on the head, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I got a rattle in the dash.
My wife's car, we're driving. I'm like, don't you hear this? Doesn't this annoy you? And there's tick, tick. It's a simple thing. The little lever on the turn signal switch, the little plastic thing just bounces a little bit. And you wouldn't think of that. That's anything. Oh, my gosh, it drives me nuts, though. They just... I don't know.
I can't help it. I was having a conversation with somebody in the parking lot, or their car pulls by, and I'm like, oh, man, those half shafts are so bad in that car. Those people are completely unaware that their half shafts are bad. But they'll be aware when the tow truck shows up. So we got Leslie, David, Ryan, Jan, and Jeff, and we're going to take Leslie in Tempe. She's got a 2005 Chrysler Town and Country. How can we help you, Leslie? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
It's not a vibration question. It's an electrical question.
Oh, we don't do those.
Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead.
About 6 months ago, I started with the radio would just stop for 1 to 2 seconds. The Chrysler symbol would come back on. It would screen would go black, then Chrysler, and then the radio would come back on. Since then, I've had progressively more electrical issues, and most recently, when the radio does this disconnect or whatever it is, the headlights go off. And I don't drive much at night, but I did notice it. And so I started doing some research, and other things have been happening, like when this happens for this 1 to 2 seconds, the ABS light comes on for a second, or a chime goes on for a second, like my gas light was coming on. Just various little quirky things, but it started with the radio. Most recently, with the headlight thing, it happens on deceleration. The car does a little grunt, a little engine change in this 1 to 2 seconds. So I started thinking about my alternator, thinking it's electrical, alternator might be the reason. It has 127,000 miles on it, has never had the alternator go bad. Do you think that's a reasonable attempt to try to fix this at this point, or any other suggestions for the needle in the haystack?
Has anybody ever looked at it, or are you just kind of grasping at that?
No, I've had it I have a very reputable mechanic, a company here in Tempe, and they said it's like a needle in a haystack until things start changing. The headlight changing thing kind of bugged me.
Well, here's how I would handle that in my shop. I'm going to get a wiring diagram out. We need a road map. There's all of these things have one thing in common, I'm sure. So we need to start with some basics. We're going to test the battery, but it's not a battery problem. It's probably not an alternator problem either, because you can have a bad alternator. You can unplug the alternator on the car. It won't be working at all, and all these other components are still going to be working. So I want to look at a wiring diagram. I'm going to trace the headlights back and see where do they get their power and ground from. Where does the radio get its power supply from? Where does the ABS? Where do all those components? And we're going to start drilling down to find out what they have in common. But I'm not going to really do any of that until I've made sure the battery has good connections. Make sure I have a good battery, because on the Chryslers, a lot of them, the powertrain control module, the body control module, those computers are right next to the battery. So if you've got a battery that's leaked acid or had corrosion buildup, you could have the problem right there.
And they got that thing called a TIPM, totally integrated power module, and that thing comes up with some of these weird issues.
Yeah, and then we want to make sure the ground, we're going to go at the battery connection, but not only that, we want to make sure that the ground connection, probably where that bolts to the transmission or the engine, and the strap that goes from the chassis to the engine block and transmission assembly, we want to make sure all that is grounded really well. And then we're going to get into the wiring diagram. We don't have to start tearing the dash out of the car and digging wiring loom open. We need to go find certain points and do some testing there. I think an alternator would be a complete waste of money. That would be a big guess, and
But it can be tested. The alternator can be tested. And I don't think it's as big a wild. I mean, I've seen Chryslers with alternator problems, and they're kind of weird. So I don't think it's that out of line. But I think it can be tested. Alternators can be tested. We can look at the pattern coming out of the thing electrically to see if that's good. So that'll be one thing that the shop you're working with is going to look at or cross off the list. So thanks for the call, Leslie. 602-277-5827. We're going to go with Jan in Phoenix on an 06 Nissan Sentra. How can we help you, Jan? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I'm calling because I heard you talking about vibration issues, and I thought today's the day to call. My Nissan has recently had a lot of work done on it. It had a rack and pinion replaced, it had a new starter put in it, and it had a tune-up. But I was having the vibration issue before all of this, and it did not improve, and none of this improved it. It only vibrates when I'm idling in drive. It doesn't happen when I'm in reverse. It doesn't happen when I'm in neutral. But when I'm in drive and at a stop sign or stoplight, the car just shakes. Sometimes violently, sometimes very mildly. And I don't even know where to start to look for what's causing them.
Were all of those repairs that you just mentioned in an effort to get rid of this vibration?
Not all of them.
Okay.
No, I was leaking steering fluid. I had some other issues with the car as well. But the tune-up was in an effort to try and improve the vibrations, and it did not help.
Okay, so in drive, Dave, sitting, engine idle. First thing I'm looking at is engine mounts.
I'm thinking engine mounts as well. When you're in park or neutral, there's no resistance on the engine or no load. As soon as you put it into reverse or put it into drive, it's going to get a little bit of load from the transmission. So that may drag the idle down a little bit, but that's where the mounts are going to show up. And we've talked about mounts on the show a lot. Bad engine mounts can definitely cause vibration as they settle and sag and lose their rubberiness. So when we come back, we're taking more calls at 602-277-5827. And we'll touch on that a little bit more when we get back, Jan. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys, on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, Lisa Henry with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty. Have you been thinking maybe the time is right to move, but you're not sure if you have enough equity in your home or if it really is a good time? Well, home values have increased significantly over the past few years, and interest rates are still historically low. For how long? No one knows. But for every 1% increase in the interest rate, the result is about a 10% loss in purchasing power. So it might be a really great time to sell your home and either upsize or downsize to a new home while the interest rates are still low. Contact me via my website at lisareneehenry.com or direct at 480-330-9530 for a no-obligation market valuation on your home and to hear about our global online marketing plan designed to sell your home quickly for top dollar. Again, that's lisareneehenry.com, 480-330-9530. Come experience the difference a truly customer-focused real estate agent can make.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family-owned and operated and bumper-to-bumper radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Groovy music, Matt.
Hey, man, it's perfect for our Summer of Love promotion at Bumper to Bumper Radio, Dave.
Hey, can you dig it? We're going to share the love to help you and your car make it through another sizzling summer with the best service, products, and advice at our Bumper to Bumper Radio approved shops.
And we're going to pass out love to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Just donate $1 when you're in for service, and we'll match it for the kids.
For the Summer of Love, go to bumpertobumperradio.com today.
Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
You know, Bumper to Bumper is more than just a radio show that happens every Saturday at 11 o'clock. Dave and I come in here, and we're here to help you with your car every weekend. Dave owns Tri-City Transmissions in Tempe, a shop that's been there 40-plus years. I own Virginia Auto Service in Central Phoenix and have for 20 years. But besides us, here every Saturday, there's a group of guys that are here for you every single day to work on your car if you need help. And those can be found at bumpertobumperradio.com. These guys are guys that you're going to see at church, maybe at the grocery store, soccer game with your kids. These are the same guys whose shops participated in the Phoenix Children's Hospital fundraiser, the radiothon that we did 2 weeks ago. And we've had our Bumper to Bumper Radio Summer of Love happening. That's a promotion where we still have one more day, business day left on Monday, where you can come in and still make a donation so we can get that money like we've done every year to Phoenix Children's Hospital. I think $10,000 is what we've raised on average each year. And it's not too late to do that. And one of those guys that you see around, if you're in the East Valley in Mesa, and you see him at daughter softball games and stuff, is Stan from Mesa Auto Works. And he's on the line today. Stan, you have an update for us, maybe something that's been happening at your shop with the fundraising efforts we've been doing for Phoenix Children's Hospital?
Oh, it's been very nice. We've got a lot of nice donations from wonderful customers, and everything's been going really well. How you guys doing?
Well, it's good. You know, at my shop, I know we've got the little handprint things, the heart-shaped Phoenix Children's logo, and probably like yours, the customers want to participate. And the deal is, drop off $1. That's all it takes. We're going to match that. So, you know, and same thing at your shop, Stan. You're doing that. I'm sure you've got your wall decorated with donation cards, huh?
Of course we do, and every dollar helps. It's going to a good cause, and you know, it's very nice to see the generosity from everybody.
Well, the thing that I'm always impressed by is when you ask, people are so quick to help out for the kids. I mean, there's no hesitation. They're like, absolutely, who wouldn't?
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy that says, no, I can't spare $1. Come on.
And even if you're thinking it, still give $1 anyway.
Right. Stan, thanks for calling in today and participating in the program. And everybody remember that it's not too late. We've got that going on Monday. Heck, even Tuesday. Who cares? We can always, Phoenix Children's can always use the money, so we're always there to help out. So we've been talking about vibrations today. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It's really what you want to talk about. If you have a question, a problem with your car, I don't care if it's about buying a new car, selling your used car, getting a repair done, or maybe you do have a vibration problem, 602-277-5827. It's 602-277-KTAR. And if you want to do that by text as well, as long as you're not driving, 411-923.
And before the break, we had Jan on, and she was talking about a vibration when she was stopped and she would pull her car into gear, whether that be reverse or drive. And we're talking about motor mounts. Hey, Jan, that's probably where your technician's going to end up going, and especially if you haven't changed them. You know, motor mounts will last between 80 to 120,000 miles. They're rubber. They eventually wear out. But the one thing everyone should listen to, factory motor mounts. I don't want aftermarket motor mounts put in your car. They're hardly cheaper anymore. In the old days, there used to be a big price difference. Sometimes there still is a big price difference, but you're better off to, donate your money to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Let's do that instead.
Instead of buying a cheap mount or getting one of those cheap fuel injector services at the car wash. You know, one thing I want to talk about, we talked about the consequences of ignoring these vibrations. Sometimes it can go fast, and I just realized during the break, Dave, one of my technicians at the shop, Joe, drives a Nissan Sentra. He's driving to work. He's like, gosh, I noticed the belt was squeaking, and it happened. Didn't want to be late for work, and it started to vibrate a little bit. I figured I was losing the belt, but I'll get there. I'm only 3 or 4 miles away. It didn't take more than 3 miles, and then Joe was on a tow truck. This stuff happens fast. His harmonic balancer came apart on the car. We talked about that in the first part of the show. The balancer came apart. That thing's spinning the same speed as the engine. And then it lets go. The belt comes off. The harmonic balancer breaks the timing chain cover. Now he's got a $2,000 repair. He's spending his Saturday. You know, even at wholesale cost, the parts are $700 or $800 his cost. It's going to take him a day Saturday to get it done. But it can happen fast, just like that.
Shame on you, Joe. Shame on you. You knew better. Well, you shouldn't have done it. Anyway,
yeah, right.
We've got Jeff, David, Ryan, Rick, and we are going to go with David in Glendale on a 1994 Chevy Cavalier. David, you're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. How can we help you today?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm calling about my daughter's car, so I don't have a lot of experience driving it myself. But she called me the other day at work. She had broke down a couple miles from home, and I went to check it out. She said it had a real loud knock in the engine, and it died. First thing, checked the oil, and no matter how much I preached to her, checked the fluids, didn't show oil on the dipstick. So I got oil in the car, got it started, and it just had this real loud knock to it that would increase with the RPM. And so we ended up getting it home, and the first thing I thought of was I wanted to get the cover off the top. I was really hoping, maybe a busted spring, something with a rocker arm, something that would be a smoking gun, say, that's it. Didn't really see anything. Had her start it, still had a loud knock. And one thing that I thought was a little weird was the oil ports at the top of the push rods. One was shooting out probably a good foot, and some of the others weren't squirting out at all. And my dad had mentioned something about the hydraulic lifters. I'm just looking for any ideas of how I can trace this down to what it might be.
Well, a lifter problem is going to typically be a lot faster, and a rod knock is going to be slower and more predominant. You're going to hear it on the bottom end. One way that you can quickly maybe diagnose that to see if we've got a piston, a connecting rod, a bearing, or something like that is, I believe on that Cavalier, it's got a fairly flat valve cover, and the spark plugs are easy to get to. If you've got a good pair of insulated spark plug wires, you can have that thing running at an engine, at maybe just 1,000 RPMs, or even if it's doing it idle, and unplug one spark plug wire at a time. If the knock goes away, it's probably a rod bearing on that particular cylinder. But at the end of the day, if that's the problem, you're not going to just go, more likely, you're not just going to go fix that problem. The engine is probably, our technical term, toasted. But Dave,
I'm thinking a little 3-in-1 oil and some gauze pads will fix that up. Maybe
a little Fletch.
Exactly.
It's all ball bearings.
It's all ball bearings nowadays.
I had the real deal, man. You don't have to try.
Well, I thought you were struggling a little bit there, but Dave, I think you've probably got a catastrophic failure. Probably not in the valve train, especially the fact that it was low on oil. If it was valve train issue, the noise probably would have gone away by now with getting some oil in there. And I think it's obviously been seen better days. So,
well, we got a text from Marcus in Tullison. He's got the Nissan, if I'm not confusing these texts right, where his vibration starts at 55 miles an hour. I think I was reading, and that's in your response to that 55-mile-an-hour vibration.
Well, he says it is in the steering wheel. At first, I sent him a text back that said maybe start with a tire balance. You thought maybe those do have some driveline issues.
Definitely some U-joint issues. One of the things about U-joints, when U-joints go bad, at the higher speeds, you'll get this noise in the truck that kind of goes wah, 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 wah. And I hate to make that noise.
I like
but
watching you.
That's exactly what they sound like. And so if you've got that noise, it's got a rhythmic to it, and it comes in and it comes out, and that drive shaft's loading up and unloading and loading up and unloading. And that's typical for a drive shaft. When we say drive line, that's what we're referring to. So drive shaft is going to be U-joints and center supports and those kind of things. We're going to go with Ryan in Mesa on a 2003 Toyota Tacoma. How can we help you, Ryan? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, these other guys sound like they know a lot about cars. I know absolutely nothing. All right, so I just bought this Toyota Tacoma. Felt like I got a pretty good deal on it. It's got 140,000 miles, 03. It's the SR5, all that good stuff. And test drove it, felt great. And then, I test drove it just on regular surface roads. And then I get it on the highway, and as I'm braking, it's like, it's almost like, and I don't know much about cars, so I'm just taking a flying guess here at a bent rotor or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like it just, but it vibrates pretty good when I hit the brakes. If I'm doing over, 50, 60, 70, I mean, it's definitely, when I hit the brakes good, it vibrates pretty good. So I don't know if you have any suggestions, or I'm new to out in Mesa, so if you have any suggestions and some shops I can maybe take it and get it looked at.
Sure. Well, I think that one's a pretty simple one, Ryan. First, the second part of your question first, we just had the guys from Mesa Auto Works on. Depending on where you are in Mesa, that's a good place to start with Mesa Auto Works. They can also be found at bumpertobumperradio.com. Accurate Automotive is in more central or downtown Mesa off Robson in Maine. So those would be two good resources for you. And I think this is a pretty classic example of brakes. I mean, of a warped rotor. You got it exactly right. You're going 45, 50 miles an hour. You're going to go get off the freeway, and you just and you can test it yourself. Just a light application of the brakes, and you start to get your wristwatch starts shaking and the steering wheel vibrating. It's going to have a braking issue. You might have perfectly good brake pads, but that doesn't mean the brakes are good. The rotors could be warped.
Well, I know we've had some Tundras in our shop where the guy just kept putting brake rotors on it, Cheap brake rotors, they're going to warp quickly because they've cheated you on the metal and the thickness and all that stuff. And then also Toyota on those Tundras, they've got an upgraded backing plate that vents the brakes better so that there's not as much heat and they don't warp as fast. So there's things, I don't know if the Tacoma is really part of that deal, but also packing the bearings. So when they do, the rotors are going to be packing those bearings. Make sure those are nice and tight as well. So thanks so much for the call. We are going to go with, looks like, Jeff in Buckeye on a 2006 Hummer H2. How can we help you, Jeff? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. I just had a question. I moved down here from Washington State and hadn't had any problems until this summer. I noticed that my vehicle started to overheat, and I didn't realize it was overheating until it popped up with a little warning on the screen saying that the engine was too hot. And it got up to the red line, which is 260. And so I went and turned the heat up and turned the AC off. The temperature dropped down to the middle about 215 or 220, somewhere right in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it ran fine like that. So I went in and I took the thermostat out, took a look at it. I didn't take the time to test it. I just disabled it and put it back in and refilled the reservoir. And it seemed to be all right. And then my wife was driving it the other day, and she said it got up pretty hot again as well. So I'm wondering if maybe I should do a radiator flush, or you guys think there's a block somewhere, or maybe the water pump, or...
Yeah, all the above, and I think what we're going to do is take the answer to your question here just after the break, 602-277-5827. You're listening to Matt and Dave, KTAR Car Guys.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A-plus rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Are you looking for a refreshing change in customer service? I'm Lee Weatherby from Accurate Automotive. How about a refreshing change in your car repair relationship with honest, clear, and responsive service that looks out for your needs and not ours? For over 20 years, we've been delivering award-winning service provided by ASE-certified technicians with one goal, looking out for your best interest. If it needs fixing, we'll tell you. If it doesn't, you'll know that too. I guarantee that you will not get that business-as-usual treatment at Accurate Automotive. Foreign and domestic, cars, trucks, and even fleet service, Accurate can handle your job. I invite you to come in and experience a refreshing difference in car repair and maintenance. Stop by for a free courtesy inspection, a $49 value. We feel it is well worth our investment in you because we know that good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. I'm Lee Weatherby, and I'll be there to greet you. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robeson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out at AccurateAutomotiveAZ.com today.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and bumper-to-bumper radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Welcome back to Bumper Radio, and we've got some phone calls, so we got to get at it, but we want to finish and answer Jeff's question. New from Washington State, just got here. Never, when your car gets hot, keep driving it, because that's where the catastrophic engine damage happens. 260 is really hot on the needle. But you pull the thermostat out, everything looked good, you put it back in. For the price of thermostats, whenever a car gets that hot, we just replace them anyway. So that's definitely a thought. Maybe we had a thermostat problem. But there's electric cooling fans on most of these vehicles. We want to make sure those cooling fans are running and they're not cutting out and there's no problem with the cooling fans. And we also want to make sure that the rookie's not working the radio.
I got that from you. I took your lead from the last segment. But it's easy to test those fans. Just turn on the air conditioner and start the car. And if it's got an electric fan, both or two, they should both be on. That's the easiest test to make sure the fans are working. And then we'll start looking at the other stuff. You can flush till you're blue in the face, and if something's broken, it's still broken.
Well, he mentioned the water pump. Hey, the water pump, it's driven by the belt. That thing's turning. I don't think we got a water pump problem there. If it's leaking, that's a problem. So if we got any leaks, we got to fix the leaks. And also in a cooling system, you have the thermostat out. A lot of people will have air pockets in there. So there's an air pocket, and we're not getting good coolant circulation. Most of these vehicles anymore, because the radiators have come down below the level of the engine, we got to vacuum fill them. So it's tough for the guy that's doing it every day to get all the air out of the system. So sometimes there'll be bleeder ports. Let's make sure we don't have an air pocket in there.
Well, he didn't get the air pocket. I mean, it was overheating before the thermostat.
Well, I know.
But
we could have created another problem.
The other thing I would be looking at, you can do a radiator flush, but we use an air agitated tool to clean those out at the shop. You're probably not going to have one at home, and just sticking a garden hose in there won't necessarily do it. You need to clean that out. And what we're finding, too, is the radiator hoses, Dave, are not always at the bottom of the radiator. They might be a third of the way up the tank. So you get sludge because there's not a lot of water flow. You get sludge sitting in the bottom of the radiator, and you've taken away 25% of the cooling capacity of the radiator right there. On a hot day, bam, there you are. It's overheating.
Well, thanks for that call, Jeff. We're going to go to another Jeff in Phoenix on a 2012 F-250. How can we help you, Jeff? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
So I've got a company truck that has been hesitating to start, but only when it's been hot. In other words, I commute to work about an hour each day, and if the truck sits for about an hour and I go back out to start it, now, of course, this model has the bump start where I just turn the key once, and as I'm putting my seatbelt on and stuff, it's still trying to crank. And it will do an extended crank time, so much so that it causes me to look down at the tach and going, what's going on? And there's been numerous circumstances where it has then backfired up through the intake, but then starts. It's been at a local Ford dealer because it does have an extended warranty on it. It's a gas motor, not a diesel, the 6.2 liter. And they had it for 2 weeks and said, we can't mimic the problem. We can't find the problem. Their suggestion is if it doesn't start, it will time out, it will stop trying to crank itself, and at that point it'll throw a code. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm thinking we have what we call a hot soak scenario. So you've gone in, like you said, you've commuted, and the thing sits, and you've probably got some carbon buildup in the engine. I didn't ask you if this was one of those Ecotech engines, but they have direct fuel injection on those, and you can get horrible carbon buildup on the back of the intake valves. You could have dirty fuel injectors. It sounds like if you're probably the kind of you're commuting in for an hour, you're on the highway. So try using go to Chevron or QT. Make sure you're using a quality fuel, a top tier fuel. You could go to a shop or to like Napa. They have some professional fuel system cleaners. I like BG products. You can buy Techron from the Chevron gas station and use that in the tank. I think and then when you added the fact that that you had a backfire through the intake, maybe it sounds like a lean fuel condition, and the car might just be starving for fuel. That carbon soaking up all the fuel. Try getting that cleaned out. You can do some of that just by driving it. But I want to see you either use Seafoam, BG, or Liquimoly or Lubrimoly has a good product. Try some of those. It's just a shot at it. It can't hurt anything. And run that thing a little harder. Try running some higher RPMs and cleaning it out a little bit.
Well, let's get to Matt and Gilbert on a Toyota Highlander 2002. How can we help you, Matt?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. So when I get to work, when I come back out again and I start my car, there's like a really loud squealing in my brakes. But then if I just like put it into reverse quick and then put it back into park, or like hit the brake or the gas like really quick, it goes away. But I'm wondering, like, if it's and you go to start your car, is that normal that your brakes would like squeal really bad?
Is the vehicle moving at all when this happens?
No.
It's not going to be a brake squeal, but maybe more of a belt squeal that's going on. So you start it up and the belt squeals, and you can rev and unrev the motor. Real typical of a belt squeal. So belt squeals can happen from a belt that's out of adjustment or stretched or a belt alignment issue. There's all kinds of things that can cause belts to squeal.
Well, and the belts aren't like they used to be. I mean, this belt and belt drive system and components, they're highly engineered. You've got idler pulleys in there. You've got tensioners, because we've got to make this serpentine belt make all its bends and turns and twists. So you really need to be looking at not just the belt, but the other components that go along with it. And they have about the same lifespan now.
We're going to try and sneak in Brenda in surprise on an 01 Equinox. Brenda, we got to go quickly.
Okay. I was calling. I have the Equinox, and when I'm accelerating or even braking, it's a really severe shaking. Like, almost feels like the car is going to fall apart.
Braking and accelerating.
Yeah. So I was taking it to a mechanic who said it could be a separated tire or the rotation was needed, and I took it to get it rotated, and it's still doing it now.
Dave, you think we have two different problems?
I think we got two different problems. We may have a brake pulsation from warped rotors or a little bit of pad transfer, and we also may be having an axle shaft issue. We got a bad half shaft or CV joint, something like that. Those are the things that come to mind for me. The other thing that comes to mind for me is you can have a broken motor mount, cause a bad vibration feeling taken off, that also when you're decelerating, you're going to feel that as well. So that's the one thing that could explain both speeding up and slowing down.
The technician or the shop might have to approach that one symptom at a time. They very well could be two different things. And hey, I mentioned about the Summer of Love and said the last day was Friday. I was wrong. It runs through Labor Day. So when you're into one of the bumper-to-bumper shops, getting your car checked out before you take that road trip, it's not too late. We'll get your car serviced. Make sure you're safe for the rest of what's left of the summer and into the school year, and you can drop off the buck. We're going to match it, and let's help us get that $10,000 to Phoenix Children's Hospital again.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Bree, for running the dials. If you're looking for a friendly, honest, competent shop, you can find them at bumper-to-bumper-radio.com. Remember not to text and drive, and from all the shops at Bumper to Bumper Radio, have a serene weekend.
KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Hi, I'm Scott, General Manager with Whitey's Auto Repair here in South Scottsdale. We built a reputation for quality auto service and repair for over 45 years, and our customers have come to trust us for our recommendations. We value that trust, and that's why when it comes to transmissions, for the past several decades, we have been recommending Tri-City Transmission. They have yet to disappoint. I feel so strongly about it, I wouldn't go anywhere else. Why would you? Google them online today at tricitytransmission.com. Go where the pros go. Tri-City Transmission.
Groovy music, Matt.
Hey, man, it's perfect for our Summer of Love promotion at Bumper to Bumper Radio, Dave.
Hey, can you dig it? We're going to share the love to help you and your car make it through another sizzling summer with the best service, products, and advice at our Bumper to Bumper Radio approved shops.
And we're going to pass that love to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Just donate $1 when you're in for service, and we'll match it for the kids.
For the Summer of Love, go to bumpertobumperradio.com today.